Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the weekly landscape update video that I do on my channel most weeks. I actually skipped last week, and most of what I've actually done in the last couple weeks here has been just prep because I'm getting ready to mulch everything and working on the drip irrigation, working on edging things. The grass has now been mowed a couple times, and had a hurricane in the middle of that period of time, which wasn't, the hurricane itself wasn't that big of a deal, but I did get quite a bit of rain during it that, you know, just prevents you from getting things accomplished. But I'm just gonna basically take you on a walk around. There's an area next to the driveway down here that I've really not shown because it was just nothing but noxious weeds that had to be pulled out, and lots and lots of work just to get it back to square one. You know, that's been a lot of the project here is, you know, a lot of things just take a lot of work just to get them to the point where I can start to move them forward. And that was one of the last areas. You know, the fence along the back there is going to be a bear to get out. And there's a few things like that. This screen porch, taking that off, and you know, that was a bear. There's been a lot of those things, and they're super rewarding, but they're not very interesting. You know, because it's really just, you know, hammering away at something until you get it done. But now I'm ready to start planting that area along the driveway, finally. And there was a ton of bulbs, like hundreds of daffodil bulbs out there. I dug them all up. I'm going to put some back in this yard and then just give some away. So let's get started walking around. So all my prep is underway to mulch everything, and including out here in this front yard. I've mowed the zoysia side a couple times now. Some of the clippings I just put right here for now because they don't have any weed seed or anything in them. They'll just end up under the mulch. In the future, I'll take the cuttings from this and add it to my compost bin, which I have not built yet. There's really no way, unfortunately, on that zoysia to use a mulching mower effectively. The grass is so thick that you're going to end up with some grass blades sitting on top of it, so you are best to bag it. With that zoysia, I would not say that with other grasses, but like I say, there's no way to finish with a mulching mower and not end up having to rake it. So the best thing to do is probably just go ahead and bag it if you do have zoysia, and then like I say, use that material as long as it's weed free in your compost bin as your green to go with leaves and that kind of thing. I've come here along this curb and edged about an inch down along that section right there, just to give the mulch some place to fall. You wouldn't want the soil even with the curb, because then, you know, you could constantly be having to blow it back from that edge. So all of this is about to get drip irrigation unrolled in it. All of that area over there that's been landscaped already or mulched already one time is going to get drip irrigation, and then mulch is going over it. Here's the annuals that I put in. I don't know how much of this I've even shown, but where this maple was out here and all these roots were, I did get the stump grinder to grind them up, but I haven't put any shrubs or anything in the ground. I did all these annuals and containers. There's a beautiful new gold lantana there, and some really nice zinnias, and vinca right here, and coleus. All of these things are looking, they're really coming along. They don't really like to be in that that much wood material either, no more than the shrubs would, but a little bit of fertilizer a couple times, and this bed's coming along. I think by fall it'll be really, really beautiful. Eventually though, this will be shrubs and trees, and I've said there's a retaining wall going across right in here somewhere. There's a big drop off in there. I planted this white berried American beautyberry right here, and it was absolutely covered in white berries, and the birds have come along. Goldfinches and other birds have come along and stripped it pretty quickly. It was a little early for them to be turning anyway, so they've taken advantage of that. And then I put in this moon dance hydrangea. I had this in a lot of shade, and I've talked about this a lot. If you take a plant out of a lot of shade and throw it into a really, really full sun location, it's going to burn like that. But that is a big no problem. That is zero problem whatsoever. It's just burned on the top. I get that question sometimes, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that plant. It just came out of too much shade, and in fact, it's already got some new growth here coming that will be used to the sun. So I've got to edge this grass. You know, I'll put an edge on it. I'll show you that next week. Put in the drip irrigation, and then it'll be time for mulch out here, and this place will really, really start to look like something. I've put in several different salvias out here in the front that are growing pretty quickly already. There's a Russian sage right there. And this is a senecio right here with a sunflower, I think, coming out of the side of it somehow. And here's another small leaf salvia right there. It's already grown quite a bit since I put it in. Again, all this is about to get drip irrigation, and then mulch. And coming around here, I put in these African basil, and it's just gone absolutely crazy. And all the pollinators absolutely love this African basil. It will fill in, by the time frost comes, it'll be this big around in here. Just be absolutely gigantic. And then here's this red leaf hibiscus that I've shown several times now. So I'm about a week away from this finally really looking like what I have intended it to look like. Again, I don't know if you guys remember, if you've watched, there's a fence going along here, and there'll be an entrance right in here that will lead you up to the front door, and there'll be plants. I think I'm going to do mostly flowering perennials on the outside here as a pollinator garden, and then there's a couple shrubs I've already put in here that will be on the back side of the fence. Mulch is coming, drip irrigation is coming, but that front yard has really come a long way pretty quickly. This has been the craziest project I've had to do here. This edge of this driveway was nothing but noxious weeds. At some point, somebody put this brick wall in right here, and as you can see right here, it's leaning. It's actually slanted, and it's not particularly nice. There was a spot right here, I guess, where the water on the driveway was supposed to collect and run off, but there's no hole in the wall as far as I can determine. So all the soil ends up right here on the driveway, if you can see that. So this wall has to be erased. This area is going to be fruit plants, and so I've already got the blueberries and a few other things that are going in this little space along this driveway. There was some brick edging on it that needed to be redone, and so I've pulled that out. Some weeds coming back in here already. I had to lower this too. This soil here was about maybe a foot high on this edge of the driveway, so I've lowered it. I used the soil in the front yard over there where the mulch is going, but here's that brick edging was right here. So this has been a giant project, and I pulled out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bulbs out of here. This pine bark right here is going to be used to plant the blueberries along here, but I'm finally going to have this cleaned up. This is one of the last spots in the yard that was just completely out of control. So I'll start back here in the backyard with tomatoes, and I have a lot of tomato plants, and they've all done quite well this year. And you can just everywhere you look through here, they're all vining together. That week I left in June to go down to the Gulf Coast, I definitely lost a little control of my tomatoes. I only have a couple plants though out of 50 that have any kind of decline in them whatsoever, but we'll get in here close and you can see the amount of tomatoes we're talking about every single day. I can pick a lot. So I've been lucky this year. I haven't had to fight any blight issues, no issues whatsoever. So I feel kind of fortunate there. That doesn't always work out that way on tomatoes. A lot of times they can be just a total fight, but you can see I need to pick today. I picked a ton before the hurricane the other night. We got about 3.5 inches for the hurricane, and I always pick everything before that because you'll end up with a bunch of cracked tomatoes if you don't. Swinging around here, you see basil looking absolutely fantastic. I keep taking the flowers off of it to keep it from coming to seed. There's an example right there. That'll keep them growing. Taking those seeds off. Cucumbers looking good, but not the best cucumbers I've ever grown, but I'm getting 4, 5, 6 cucumbers a day, so I don't need that many. Zucchini that I planted late because all that lettuce that was in here. If you've been following along, first one's coming off right there. But these plants are beautiful so far. I expect my the borers to start messing with them any day now. Let's see. Here's another, it's a purple basil right there. Really just grew that one for the pollinators. Dahlias that I did from seed have just a constant supply of bees on them, and they just sleep on them sometimes. Here's another one right here. Sun is starting to mess with me a little bit. See that one? Nice. Okay, I'll swing around here. All pepper plants. Pepper plants look great. It flopped over a little bit in that hurricane the other night, but not too bad. This variety's been very good, very productive. Green beans are still producing, and it's kind of late, honestly. Usually by this time of summer, my bean plants have kind of run out of steam. So I'm wondering if they've gotten this far into the summer, as the nights cool down, I may actually start getting big production again. But there's one right there. So they look good. Okra is gigantic, and I love the flowers on anything in the mallow family. You know, okra's in the hibiscus mallow family. The flowers are beautiful. Lots of okra coming. So there's the vegetable garden area over there. The planter boxes on the building are starting to fill in, and all the planters that I did earlier in the season are looking pretty good. And this area over here still has lots of color in it. And a lot of this stuff, you know, I wanted to fill this in the first season. I mean, it's not not that typical that you start a new garden and then have this many things with this much color in the first season. But I just wanted to look full. Unfortunately, though, there's some annuals in here, and then of course a lot of perennials that are going to go to sleep. So this fall is going to be a little lean out here. I'll come in and do some fall annual things at that time. The zoysia grass has been mowed back here a couple times as well. Looks really fantastic. It's got to be edged before I mulch, and so I do need to put a nice crispy edge on it. I'll show that next week as I'm starting that project. You can see all the drip irrigation. It'll all end up covered pretty soon. Zinnia's looking great still, and all the perennial and annual things that I've put into this backspace look very, very good. Those white wedding hydrangeas still blooming strong. Butterfly bushes and salvias. This is that mahogany splendor hibiscus again. I had to cut these pretty hard because that hurricane knocked them around quite a bit. Still have some flowers on that hydrangea. That hydrangea I put in a video a week or so ago has been buried by that hibiscus. I've got to cut that out. Agapanthus still has a few flowers on it there. Bees still working those pretty much every day, but you can see as I go around, everything looks pretty solid. I mean, it's just it's a nice space, and especially next week after it gets mulched. I'll work my way back here to the here's those white wedding hydrangeas and golden Oakland holly right there. Nothing has gone into this space right here yet. This will eventually just be a path that leads you to this greenhouse. If you haven't seen the propagation videos I put up yet, I got all the propagation stuff set up here, and I have put the first flat into the house. I'm just stress testing this right this minute, using that electronic leaf, making sure that it's going to work well before I start filling this up. So this next week, I'm going to get that drip irrigation done in the front, and hopefully I'll have mulch on the ground by the time you see next week's video. I don't know if I'll have it all spread. A lot of these annuals and perennials and flowering things I have out here are going to have to all be, mulched by hand. I mean, I'll get it back here with a cart, but obviously you're not going to dump a cart, on top of an annual or a perennial. But I'll show you that slow and steady process, also edging around the grass, and several other projects I have to get ready. All of that will be in next week's video. Thanks for watching.